You know, they say you can't judge a book by its cover. But let me tell you something. Most people do it anyway. And when I found out my son had gotten married without telling me, without even inviting me, I decided to play a little game when I finally met my new daughter-in-law's family. A game that would show me exactly who they really were. My name is Margaret. I'm 52 years old, and for the last 18 years, I've been a vice president of operations at a Fortune 500 tech company. My salary? Let's just say it's north of 35 grand a month. But here's the thing. My son, Jamie, has absolutely no idea. To Jamie, I'm just mom, the woman who worked in an office and clipped coupons, the one who drove a 10-year-old Honda and bought her clothes from outlet stores. And you know what? I did it on purpose. After his father walked out when Jamie was 3, I raised that boy by myself. I made a promise he would never grow up entitled. He would never think money just falls from the sky. So yeah, I hid my success. I lived modestly. I made him work for his first car, his college spending money, everything. Was it extreme? Maybe. But I wanted him to know the value of $1, to understand that respect isn't bought, it's earned. 3 weeks ago, my phone rang at 11 p.m. It was Jamie, and I could hear it in his voice immediately, that nervous energy, like when he was 16 and wrecked my car. "Mom, you sitting down?" My heart dropped. "What happened? Are you okay?" I'm married, Mom." Silence. Just complete, dead silence. "You're what?" "I married Cassandra. Cass. We eloped 2 months ago in Hawaii." 2 months ago. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. My only child got married and I wasn't there. I wasn't even told. Why didn't you? It just happened really fast, and Cass's parents wanted something small and private, and I know you've been so busy with work. And he was spiraling, making excuses. And underneath all of it, I heard something else. Shame. Guilt. "Jamie," I said, my voice steady, even though my hands were shaking. I would have moved mountains to be there. After we hung up, I did what any mother would do in the digital age. I cyber-stalked the hell out of my new in-laws. Patricia and Edward Thornton. Old money. Like old money. Edward's family made their fortune in real estate development back in the 1920s. Patricia came from banking wealth. Their Instagram was a highlight reel of yacht clubs, charity galas, and vacation homes in Martha's Vineyard. And then I found it. A comment on one of Patricia's posts from 6 months ago. Someone congratulated her on Cassandra's engagement, and Patricia had replied, "Thank you, darling, though I do wish Jamie came from a more established background. But love conquers all, doesn't it?" Established background. That's when I knew. Jamie had told them I was just some ordinary, struggling office worker. Maybe even embellished how poor we were to, make himself seem more self-made? To not intimidate them? And suddenly, this dinner made sense. This wasn't about welcoming me to the family. This was an inspection, an assessment of whether I was worthy. Well, let the inspection begin. The day of the dinner, I went deep into my closet, past the Armani suits and the Louboutins I wore to board meetings, all the way to the back, where I kept my old clothes from before my promotions. I pulled out a faded floral dress from Target, circa 2008, scuffed flats that had seen better days. I took off my Cartier watch, my diamond studs, everything. I even messed up my hair a bit and pulled it into a messy bun. When I looked in the mirror, I saw the woman I used to be. The single mom, working 2 jobs, exhausted and overwhelmed. The woman who counted pennies and prayed the car would start one more time. But this time, it was armor. Jamie had given me the address, some exclusive steakhouse in the city where the average entree cost $90, the kind of place where they don't list prices on the women's menus. I took my Honda, parked it myself instead of using the valet, walked in with my Target purse and my chin up. The hostess looked at me like I'd wandered in from a homeless shelter. "Can I help you?" "I'm meeting the Thornton party." Her eyebrows shot up. "Oh, of course. Right this way." She led me through the restaurant and I could feel every eye on me. In a sea of designer dresses and tailored suits, I was a stain. Perfect. They were already seated. Jamie jumped up when he saw me, his face a mixture of love and something else. Embarrassment? My heart cracked a little. "Mom, you made it!" He hugged me tight and I held on an extra second. "Wouldn't miss it for the world, baby." Cassandra stood next, and she was stunning. Blonde, polished, with that effortless elegance money can buy. "Mrs. Chen, it's so wonderful to finally meet you." Her smile was warm, genuine. I liked her immediately, which made this whole thing more complicated. And then there were Patricia and Edward. Patricia was in her late 50s, with the kind of face that spoke of expensive procedures and even more expensive skincare. Her dress probably cost more than my car. Edward was tall, silver-haired, with the bearing of someone who'd never been told no in his entire life. Patricia extended her hand like she was the Queen of England. "Margaret, how lovely." Her eyes swept over me, taking in every worn seam, every outdated accessory. I watched her assessment happen in real time, and I saw the exact moment she dismissed me as irrelevant. "Please sit," Edward said, gesturing to my chair. His tone was cordial but cold, like he was addressing the help. Game on. We ordered drinks. Well, they ordered wine that cost $70 a glass. I ordered water with lemon. "So, Margaret," Patricia began, dabbing her lips with her napkin, "Jamie tells us you work in an office. What is it that you do exactly?" I folded my hands, made myself small. "Oh, just administrative work. Nothing too exciting. Filing, scheduling, that sort of thing." "How nice." The way she said nice made it sound like a terminal illness. "And you've been doing that for how long?" "About 20 years now." 20 years? She exchanged a look with Edward. "And still in administration. You must be very dedicated." The implication was clear. In 20 years, you never moved up? How tragic. Jamie shifted uncomfortably. Cassandra was studying her menu intently. "I do my best," I said, adding a slight quaver to my voice. "It's enough to get by, you know. Keep the lights on." "I'm sure," Patricia said, her smile sharp. "Though it must be difficult living on such a limited income in this economy. Everything is so expensive now." "Oh, it is," I agreed. "But you make do. Coupons, sales, that kind of thing." Edward leaned forward. Margaret, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but have you thought about your future? Retirement planning. At your age, it's crucial to... Dad, Jamie interrupted, his voice tight. Can we not... It's all right, sweetie. Your father-in-law is just being practical. I turned back to Edward. I have a small 401k. Not much, but it's something. Small, Patricia repeated, like she was tasting the word. Well, we certainly wouldn't want you to be a burden on Jamie and Cassandra as you get older. The table went silent.
Excuse me? I said, my voice soft. Oh, don't misunderstand, Patricia continued, waving her hand. We just mean that young couples need their space, their independence, without the stress of supporting aging parents who might not have the means to... Patricia, Cassandra said sharply, that's enough. I'm just being honest, darling. Margaret seems like a lovely woman, but we have to be realistic about Jamie's responsibilities. He's building a life now, a life that requires certain standards. I looked at Jamie. His face was red, his jaw clenched. He looked like he wanted to disappear. What Patricia is trying to say, Edward jumped in, his tone diplomatic, is that we want to help. We're family now, after all. Help, I repeated. Yes, Patricia reached into her designer handbag and pulled out a checkbook. Actual checkbook. Edward and I have been discussing it, and we'd like to offer you a monthly stipend. Say, $600? That should help with your expenses and give you a bit of breathing room. She started writing the check. In exchange, she continued, not looking up, we'd just ask that you respect Jamie and Cassandra's privacy. Let them build their marriage without too much interference. No dropping by unannounced, no constant phone calls asking for help. Give them room to thrive. She tore out the check and slid it across the table. $600 to stay away from my son. I stared at that check, and something inside me snapped.
You know what's interesting? I said, my voice suddenly different, harder, clearer. Everyone looked at me. I picked up the check, held it up to the light. This is drawn on Chase Private Client. That's their premium banking service. Requires a $250,000 minimum balance to even qualify. Patricia's smile faltered. And Patricia, I continued, that dress you're wearing? That's Valentino, Spring 2024 collection. Retails for about $8,000. Your shoes are Manala Blahnik, probably another $1,000. Your bag is Hermé Birkin, and that's not just any Birkin. That's a limited edition. 30, maybe 40,000. Am I close? Her face went pale. Edward straightened. What exactly are you? I'm making a point, Edward. I turned to him. Your watch is a Patek Philippe Nautilus, stainless steel, perpetual calendar. Market value? About $150,000. Your suit is bespoke from Savile Row. Your cufflinks are Bulgari. I set down the check, smoothed out my cheap dress, and smiled. So here's my question. If you have all of this wealth, all of these expensive things, why are you trying to pay me $600 to abandon my son? We're not, Patricia started. That's exactly what you're doing. My voice was ice now. You looked at me and saw someone poor, someone desperate, someone beneath you, and you decided I wasn't good enough to be in your lives, so you'd pay me to disappear, like I'm some kind of stray dog. Mom, Jamie said, his eyes wide. It's okay, baby. Let me finish. I looked back to Patricia and Edward. You want to know the truth? You want to know why I'm really here? I reached into my purse, my cheap, worn Target purse, and pulled out my wallet. From it, I extracted a single card, black, heavy, metal. I placed it on the table. That's an American Express Centurion card, I said, also known as the black card. It's invitation only. You can't apply for it. You have to spend at least $500,000 a year on their platform to even be considered. There's a $10,000 initiation fee and a $5,000 annual fee. Patricia was staring at the card like it was a snake. You lied, Patricia stammered. No, I acted. There's a difference. I leaned back in my chair. Jamie told you I was poor because that's what he believed, because that's what I wanted him to believe. I raised him modestly because I wanted him to value work and not wealth, to understand that money doesn't make you better than anyone else. I looked at my son, saw the shock on his face, the confusion. But I came here tonight dressed like this because I wanted to see who you really were. I wanted to see how you treat someone you thought had nothing. And you know what I found out? I turned back to Patricia and Edward. You're exactly the kind of people I raised my son not to be. You measure worth in dollars. You think money buys you the right to look down on others, to judge them, to dismiss them. Now wait just a minute, Edward started. No, you wait. I stood up and everyone at the table flinched. Your daughter is wonderful. Cassandra is kind, smart, and genuine. She got that from somewhere, and I'm guessing it wasn't from you. Cassandra's eyes were filling with tears. You tried to buy me off like I was some kind of obstacle. You insulted me, patronized me, and made my son feel ashamed of where he came from. And for what? Because I didn't dress like you? Because I didn't drop brand names and talk about my vacation home? I grabbed my purse. Real wealth isn't in your bank account, Patricia. It's in how you treat people who can't do anything for you. It's in kindness, dignity, and respect. And by that measure, I shook my head. You're the poorest people I've ever met. I started to walk away, then stopped. Oh, and one more thing. I reached into my wallet again and pulled out a black, corporate American Express card. I tossed it on the table. That's my company card. There's no limit on it. Use it to pay for dinner tonight. Consider it a gift, because clearly you need to learn what real generosity looks like. I walked about 5 steps before I heard Edward's voice, strained and embarrassed. Excuse me, miss? He was calling to our server. My card isn't going through. Can you try again? I turned back slowly. The server looked uncomfortable. Sir, it's been declined multiple times, and this one as well. She held up Patricia's card. That's impossible, Edward said, his face reddening. Run them again. I walked back to the table, enjoying every second of this. Fraud alert? I suggested. I bet your bank saw charges from 2 different states in one day and locked your cards for security. Happens all the time when you travel. Edward was frantically dialing his phone. Patricia looked like she wanted to melt into the floor. Here, I said, picking up my Centurion card. I handed it to the server. Put it all on this. Thank you, the server said gratefully, practically fleeing. I looked at Edward and Patricia, both of them red-faced and speechless. That's what family does, right? Helps each other out when someone needs a little assistance. I smiled. Consider it my $600 monthly stipend to you, so you can maintain your lifestyle. I left the restaurant and sat in my Honda for a full 10 minutes before I started crying. Not sad crying, angry crying, relieved crying, the kind of crying you do when you've been holding something in for too long and it finally bursts out. My phone rang. Jamie. Mom, I'm coming out. Stay there. Jamie, you should stay with your wife. I'm coming out. Now. 2 minutes later, he yanked open my passenger door and slid in. We sat there in silence for a long moment. Why didn't you tell me? He finally asked. Because I wanted you to be your own man. Not my son, the VP's kid. Just Jamie, the guy who works hard and doesn't take anything for granted. I got married without you, Mom, his voice broke. I let them convince me it had to be small, private, and I went along with it because I was scared they wouldn't approve of us if they knew we didn't come from money. And then I find out you're still your mom, I said firmly. That's all I've ever been. That's all I will ever be. He hugged me then, hard and desperate, like he used to when he was little. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I know, baby, I know. Cassandra showed up at my house. My real house, the one Jamie had never seen. The 4-bedroom colonial in the nice neighborhood with the landscaped yard. She stood on my porch, and she looked wrecked. Eyes puffy, no makeup, hair in a messy ponytail. "Can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside. We sat in my living room, the one with the expensive furniture I'd carefully selected over years. She looked around, taking it all in. "Jamie told me everything," she said, "about why you hid it, about what you wanted for him." "Cassandra, my parents called me this morning. They're furious, embarrassed. My dad's planning to cut me off financially because I didn't properly vet Jamie's background." My protective instincts flared. "He can't!" "He can." And honestly, she looked up at me and there were tears streaming down her face. "I don't care, because I saw who they really are that night. I've always known deep down, but I convinced myself it was just their way, that they loved me underneath all the materialism and judgment. But the way they treated you?" She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "I don't want to be like them. I don't want to raise my kids to think money is the most important thing. I want to be like you. I want to teach them what real values are." "Kids?" I said, my voice catching. She smiled through her tears. "Yeah, Jamie and we're trying. And I just keep thinking about what kind of grandmother I want my kids to have. Not someone like my mother, who'll judge them by their achievements and their bank accounts. Someone like you. Someone who sees people for who they really are." I was crying now, too. "Oh, sweetheart." She moved to the couch and hugged me.
I held my daughter-in-law and thought about second chances, about family you choose, not just the one you're born into. That was 6 months ago. Jamie and Cassandra are expecting now. A little girl. They've asked me to be in the delivery room. I cried for an hour when they told me. Patricia and Edward haven't come around. Maybe they never will. But Cassandra set boundaries with them, started building her own life separate from their money and their expectations. She's teaching art at a community center and absolutely loving it. Jamie knows about my job now, about the house, about everything. He was overwhelmed at first, but we're working through it. Last week, he asked me for advice on a business idea he has. Not money, advice. That felt like healing. As for me, I'm still VP of Operations, still driving my Honda, because honestly, I love that car. Still clipping coupons because it's a habit now. But I also bought something new, a photo album. In it, I put the picture from Jamie and Cassandra's vow renewal ceremony. The one they had 3 months ago, with me standing right there beside them. I was wearing Armani. Jamie wore a tux. Cassandra looked like a princess. And in that photo, we're all smiling. Not the fake smiles you put on for cameras. Real smiles. The kind that come from knowing you're with people who love you for exactly who you are. That night at the restaurant, Patricia tried to pay me $600 to stay out of my son's life. Turns out, the real wealth was in never needing her money in the first place. In raising a son who values character over checking accounts. In gaining a daughter who chose integrity over inheritance. You can't put a price on that. Though if I had to guess, it's worth a hell of a lot more than a Birkin bag.